My friends, change does not begin when the world decides to move. Change begins the moment you decide differently. You see, it takes only 5 seconds, just 5 seconds, to shift your mindset. 5 seconds to move from fear to faith, from doubt to determination, from excuses to execution. I once met a man who worked as a janitor for 20 years. Every night, he mopped the floors of a building filled with dreams that weren't his. One day he told himself, I am not a janitor with no purpose. I am a man with vision. In that 5-second decision, everything changed. He started learning, saving, believing, and today he owns a cleaning company that employs dozens of people. It wasn't luck, it was a mindset. Because the truth is, your greatest prison is not your circumstances. It is your belief about what you cannot change. And your greatest freedom begins when you challenge that belief. When you say, I am more than my mistakes. When you whisper to yourself, I was born for more. When you decide that what you see is not all there is. The power to transform your life is not hidden in tomorrow's opportunities. It's hidden in today's perspective. My friends, there is a fire inside you waiting to be lit. There is a dream waiting for permission to live again. And sometimes all it takes is 5 seconds of courage to say, I will not give up. I will rise again. I will believe it one more time. So as you walk out of here today, remember this. You cannot always control what happens to you, but you can always control what happens to you. In the next 5 seconds, you can choose peace over panic. You can choose progress over pity. You can choose faith over fear. And that one decision, just one, can be the turning point that rewrites the story of your life. So shift your mindset, my friend, because your destiny is not waiting for a miracle. It's waiting for your decision. Change begins with decision. Change does not begin when the storm passes or when opportunity knocks. It begins the very moment you decide that where you are is not where you're meant to stay. Every transformation in history, every breakthrough in a human life started with a single quiet decision in the mind of an ordinary person who refused to remain the same. There comes a moment, sometimes in the middle of your deepest frustration, when something inside whispers, enough, I was made for more. That whisper is not just a thought, it's an invitation. Because the distance between your present and your potential is not measured in years, it's measured in decisions. Think about it. 5 seconds can shift your life forever. 5 seconds to say, I will not give up. 5 seconds to say, I believe I can rise again. It doesn't take a lifetime to change direction. It takes a single decision to turn the wheel. Every mountain you've ever seen was once just a thought in someone's mind. The same way, your future begins in your thoughts, one decision at a time. We often wait for perfect conditions. We wait for the right people, the right time, the right feeling. But change doesn't wait for permission. It begins the moment you act, even when you don't feel ready. Because sometimes courage is not the absence of fear, it's moving forward while fear still whispers in your ear. There's a story of a woman who worked at a small bakery. Every day she woke up before sunrise, baked bread, and went home exhausted, but she had a dream to open her own bakery. For years, she told herself it wasn't possible. No money, no connections, no time. Until one morning, while kneading dough, she paused and thought, if I can bake bread for someone else's dream, I can bake for mine too. That moment, just 5 seconds of clarity, changed everything. She began saving a little each week, learning about business, and after 2 years, she opened her own shop. What changed? Not her talent, not her environment, her decision. When you decide, truly decide, something powerful happens inside you. Your mind begins to look for ways instead of reasons. The same energy that once created excuses starts to create solutions. That's the hidden power of a decision. It reprograms your focus, and whatever you focus on expands. Many people spend their whole lives waiting for change to come knocking. They hope for a lucky break, a miracle, a sign. But here's the truth: life does not respond to wishes, it responds to choices. You don't drift into greatness, you decide into it. Every decision is a seed. It may look small now, but within it lies a future you cannot yet see. A seed doesn't look like a tree, but inside it, the tree already exists. In the same way, when you make a decision to grow, the greatness within you begins to unfold. Sometimes we underestimate how close we are to a breakthrough because it doesn't always come with noise or drama. It comes in silence, in the stillness of your own conviction. That moment when you look at your reflection and say, I'm done being average, I'm done blaming, I'm ready to move. That's the beginning of everything. Change is not something that happens to you, it's something that happens through you. It's not outside, it's within. Every time you choose discipline over doubt, action over anxiety, and faith over fear, you are shaping your tomorrow. The world around you changes the moment you change the world within you. It doesn't matter what has held you back, the pain, the failure, the rejection. You are not a product of your past. You are a product of your decisions. Your life right now is the result of the choices you've made, and your future will be shaped by the choices you make next. Maybe you've been thinking that you're too late, too tired, far gone. But what if you're just one decision away from a completely different life? One thought away from seeing possibilities instead of limitations. One moment away from turning pain into purpose. Change begins when you decide to stop rehearsing the story of your struggles and start writing the story of your strength. The same mind that tells you it's impossible can become the same mind that pushes you toward the extraordinary if you decide to use it differently. Remember, life doesn't require perfection from you. It requires participation. You don't have to have all the answers to begin. You just have to make the decision to begin. Because when you decide, you give your future permission to start unfolding. So, right now, wherever you are, take 5 seconds, just 5, to decide that your best days are still ahead of you, that your purpose still matters, and that the power to change your life has been inside you all along. Your mindset shapes your destiny. The most powerful force in your life is not your circumstance, your past, or even your talent. It's your mindset, the lens through which you see the world and yourself. Your life moves in the direction of your most dominant thoughts. What you think, you eventually become. What you believe, you eventually build. And what you fear, you eventually invite. Every single day, we are writing the script of our future with the pen of our perspective. Two people can face the same storm. One sees destruction, the other sees opportunity. The difference isn't in the wind, it's in the way they think. That's why the mind is not just a tool, it's the foundation of destiny. Your mindset can be your greatest weapon or your worst enemy. It can lift you beyond limits or keep you trapped in invisible walls built from your own doubts. Many people live behind mental bars, waiting for the door to open, not realizing the lock was never on the outside. It was in their thoughts all along. There's a story of a young man who grew up in poverty. His father used to say, "We'll never be rich. People like us just survive." Those words became his mindset, and his life followed that path. He worked hard, but never dared to dream beyond survival. Until one day he met an older man who told him, "You've been living in a cage made of someone else's words." That moment changed him. He began reading, learning, and speaking differently. He started to believe that his life could have meaning, that he could create wealth, not just in money, but in purpose. Within a few years, he built a business, mentored others, and helped families escape poverty. What changed? Not his environment, his mind. Your mindset is the soil where every dream grows. You can't plant seeds of doubt and expect a harvest of greatness. You can't feed your mind with fear and expect faith to flourish. If you want to change your life, you must first change what you allow to live inside your thoughts. Everything you see around you today was once invisible. The chair you sit on, the building you live in, the technology in your hands, all of it began as an idea in someone's mind. That's how powerful a single thought can be. Your thoughts create your reality before your actions ever do. When you believe you are capable, your mind finds ways to prove you right. When you believe you are defeated, your mind finds reasons to keep you down. It's not life that limits you. It's your mindset about life. You can give two people the same opportunity, the same challenge, the same resources, but only the one with the right mindset will rise. Because success is never about what you have. It's about what you believe you can do with what you have. There are people who have turned pain into power simply because they chose to see meaning in their suffering. Others crumble under the same weight because they tell themselves, "This is the end." You see, the story you tell yourself every day becomes the life you live. If your inner voice constantly says, "I can't," your reality will echo that belief. But if your mind begins to whisper, "I can," and "I will," the universe starts to rearrange itself in your favor. You were never created to live in fear or limitation. You were designed with the capacity to imagine, to innovate, to rebuild. Your imagination cannot work where your mindset is imprisoned. That's why the greatest battle you will ever fight is not against people. It's against the thoughts that tell you you're not enough. When you change your mindset, you don't just see the world differently, you see yourself differently. You stop waiting for validation because you begin to understand your value. You stop chasing opportunities because you start creating them. You stop saying, "Why me?" and start declaring, "Why not me?" That shift changes everything. Every leader, every innovator, every person who ever changed history had one thing in common. They learned to think differently. They refused to let their reality define their mindset. Instead, they allowed their mindset to redefine their reality. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in a prison cell, but his mind remained free. That's why when he walked out, he didn't walk out broken. He walked out prepared to lead a nation. Your mindset has the power to turn your weakness into wisdom and your pain into purpose. It can turn your failures into lessons that guide you toward greatness. Life will always give you challenges, but your mindset decides whether those challenges will build you or break you. If you can win in your mind, you can win in your life. Because every victory happens twice. First in your thoughts, then in your reality. So guard your thoughts, nurture your beliefs, and speak life into your dreams. The moment your mind begins to believe it's possible, your life begins to align with that possibility. Ordinary people, extraordinary decisions. The world has never been changed by perfect people. It has been moved, shaped, and inspired by ordinary men and women who made extraordinary decisions. People who didn't have all the answers, but had the courage to take one step and then another even when the road ahead was uncertain. There's something deeply powerful about a decision made in the heart of an ordinary person who refuses to stay average. Greatness never announces itself. It is born quietly in hidden places where nobody is watching. It's about the factory worker who decides to start a small business after his shift. In the single mother who chooses to go back to school while working 2 jobs. In the student who believes they can rise above their environment even when nobody around them believes it. Ordinary people become extraordinary not because they are different at birth, but because they dare to think and act differently when it matters most. Every great story you've ever heard began with someone who could have given up but didn't. The difference between success and regret is often just one decision that says, "I will try again." There was once a young boy who grew up in a neighborhood where failure was normal. His friends dropped out of school. His surroundings told him he'd never make it out. One day, while walking home, he stopped by a construction site. He watched the workers building a tall structure brick by brick. Something struck him deeply. He realized that success was the same process, one brick at a time, one small choice at a time. That thought became his life philosophy. He studied hard, worked long hours, and eventually became an architect, designing the kind of buildings he once only admired. He didn't have a secret advantage. He had a decision that turned an ordinary boy into an extraordinary man. The truth is, we often underestimate the power of small choices. The decision to forgive instead of staying bitter. The decision to wake up an hour earlier to work on your dream. The decision to keep going when nobody claps for you. These are the moments that shape destiny. Because greatness is not one big leap. It's 1,000 small steps, taken with consistency and faith. Ordinary people don't wait for permission to be great. They don't wait for the right time or the perfect chance. They create the right time by making the right choice. Every extraordinary person you know today was once someone who decided to start. They decided to believe when belief didn't make sense. Think of Thomas Edison. He wasn't born a genius. He failed over 1,000 times before creating the light bulb. But each failure wasn't an end, it was a lesson. He said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." That mindset, decision to keep moving forward, made him extraordinary. The same spirit lives in people today. People who come from nothing but refuse to stay there. A farmer who invents a better way to grow crops. Teacher who inspires a generation with nothing but passion and chalk. A nurse who stays past her shift to comfort a patient who has no family. These are not superheroes. They're ordinary people making extraordinary decisions daily. Greatest myth we've believed is that greatness belongs to a few chosen ones. But look closer. Greatness is simply a choice repeated long enough to become character. The person who chooses integrity when it's easier to lie. The one who chooses kindness when bitterness feels justified. The one who chooses to stand again after falling countless times. Those are the choices that build greatness. Extraordinary lives are built by those who see value in ordinary moments. The moments when no one is cheering, when no one is watching, when no one believes. That's where true transformation begins. Because real greatness is not measured by what the world sees. It's measured by what you choose to do when the world isn't looking. Many people keep waiting for motivation to arrive, not realizing that motivation is born after movement. The decision to act creates the feeling, not the other way around. If you start small, if you take the first step, momentum will follow. Ordinary people who become extraordinary don't always feel ready. They just start anyway. Every hero began as a human being with doubts and fears, just like you. What made them different was their decision to rise above those doubts. They understood that comfort never produces change, and change never happens without discomfort. The ones who change their world are those who learn to move, even while they tremble. There is no perfect moment, no perfect plan, no perfect path. There is only a decision, and it's in that decision that ordinary people discover something extraordinary within themselves, the strength to go on, the courage to believe, and the wisdom to turn every challenge into a chapter of growth. Control what happens in you. You cannot always control what happens to you, but you can always control what happens in you. Life will test you. It will send storms without warning, challenges without explanation, and losses that seem too heavy to bear. You can't stop the rain, you can't control the wind, but you can choose how you stand in the storm. Because the greatest power you will ever have is not over the world outside, it's over the world within. Every day something tries to take that power from you. A harsh word, a disappointment, a delay, a betrayal. And in those moments, it feels easier to let your emotions take the wheel, to get angry, to give up, to blame, to shrink. But maturity begins when you stop reacting to everything that happens and start responding with purpose. When you realize that peace is not found in the absence of chaos, but in your ability to remain calm within it. Think about this. Two people can go through the same pain and come out completely different. One becomes bitter, the other becomes better. The difference is not in what happened. It's in what they allowed to happen inside. Because life doesn't break you with what it throws at you. It breaks you with what you believe about what it throws at you. There was once a man who lost his business overnight. Everything he worked for, gone. He could have surrendered, and many expected him to. But he said something remarkable. I may have lost what I built, but I have not lost what built it. He understood that as long as he still had his vision, his character, his determination, he could rebuild again. Within a few years, he did. He didn't let what happened around him destroy what was happening inside him. That's the power of inner control. It doesn't mean you won't feel pain. It means pain won't own you. It means you can face chaos and still choose clarity. You can be surrounded by negativity and still choose to stay grounded in peace. You can be misunderstood, rejected, or doubted and still say, this won't define me. So many people live as if the world owes them peace, but peace is not a gift, it's a discipline. It's something you cultivate daily by deciding what deserves to stay in your heart and what doesn't. You can't let every problem occupy your mind or every opinion direct your emotions, because if you do, your life will constantly swing between chaos and calm, depending on who said what or what went wrong. The strongest people are not those who control everything outside. They are those who master everything inside. They don't let fear paralyze them. They don't let anger consume them. They don't let circumstances dictate their joy. They've learned that their emotions are servants, not masters. They use pain as fuel and disappointment as direction. Control what happens in you, because your inner world becomes your outer world. If your thoughts are full of worry, your decisions will reflect fear. If your heart is full of gratitude, your actions will radiate confidence. What happens inside of you will always spill out into what happens around you. There's a story of a young athlete who suffered a major injury right before the biggest competition of his life. Doctors said he might never perform again. For a while, he believed them. But one day, while sitting in therapy, he realized that though his body was weak, his mind was still strong. He couldn't control his injury, but he could control his focus. Instead of giving up, he studied, trained differently, and healed patiently. Months later, he returned stronger than ever. The battle wasn't won in his body, it was won in his mind. That's what inner strength looks like. It's not about being emotionless, it's about mastering your response. It's understanding that storms don't define your direction, they reveal your foundation. You can't always stop the waves, but you can learn how to surf. You can't stop people from judging you. You can stop their judgment from living in your head. You can't control the outcome, but you can control your outlook. When you take responsibility for your inner world, you take back your power. You stop waiting for everything around you to change before you find peace. You start realizing that peace is already within you. It's just waiting for permission to lead. And the moment you stop allowing outside chaos to dictate your inner climate, you begin to experience freedom on a level you've never known before. control what happens to you. Because when your mind is steady, your emotions calm, and your spirit anchored, no storm can truly shake you. The world around you may be unstable, but the world within you remains unbreakable. Your future waits on a choice, not a miracle. So many people are waiting for life to change, waiting for that one lucky break, waiting for a sign from heaven, waiting for something extraordinary to happen that will turn everything around. But the truth is, your future doesn't respond to waiting. It responds to choosing. The greatest miracles don't begin with magic, they begin with movement. Every dream that has ever come true started when someone made a choice to act, even when nothing around them seemed ready. Your life is shaped not by what you wish for, but by what you're willing to do. Wishes are powerless without decisions. You can spend your entire life hoping for something better, but until you decide to move toward it, hope remains a shadow. The moment you decide, the universe starts to move with you. The moment you say, I will not live like this anymore, doors begin to open. Not because the world changed, but because you did. There's a story of a young man who used to pray every night for success. He'd ask for a miracle, for something to lift him out of his struggle. For years, nothing happened. One day, after yet another disappointment, he cried out, "Why aren't you helping me?" And in that quiet moment, he felt something inside whisper, "I already did. I gave you life, a mind, and a choice." That realization hit him hard. He stopped waiting for something to happen and decided to make something happen. He started small, selling what he could, learning what he didn't know, believing that his decisions could shape his destiny. A few years later, his business grew, his life transformed, and he became the miracle he was waiting for. That's the truth about life. It's not waiting for your next prayer to be answered. It's waiting for your next decision to be made. Every new level in your life will demand a new decision from you. The choice to let go, the choice to begin again, the choice to believe when it's easier to doubt. Every time you choose growth over comfort, you're moving closer to the future that's been waiting for you. Miracles are not random events that fall from the sky. They are moments when your faith meets your action, when your belief meets your discipline, when you stop asking, "When will this happen?" and start declaring, "I will make this happen." You are the answer to your own prayer when you decide to act on the vision you've been given. Some people say they're waiting for the right time, but the right time never comes. It's created by the right choice. Every great achievement began in an inconvenient season. The decision to act when it's hardest to do so is what separates dreamers from doers. Waiting for perfect conditions is just another form of fear dressed as patience. And fear will always tell you, "Not now," but destiny whispers, "If not now, when?" Every time you choose to move forward despite uncertainty, you're training your faith to lead your future. It doesn't matter how small your step is. What matters is that you take it. Because even the smallest decision toward progress is more powerful than a lifetime of wishing. People you admire, the ones who've built something great, they weren't lucky, they were decisive. They didn't wait for the world to notice them. They decided to show the world what they had to offer. You can't build a future on emotion, you build it on decision. Emotion changes every day, but decisions create direction. When you make a choice from conviction, not convenience, you set your life on a new path. Every day, life asks you a simple question: what will you choose? And every answer you give shapes the next chapter of your story. There's power in realizing that you are not helpless. You are not stuck. You are not waiting for something outside to change. You already have what it takes to begin. The next version of you is already within you. It's waiting for your decision to release it. You can't choose what happens around you, but you can choose how you respond. You can choose discipline over delay, action over apathy, purpose over passivity. Every time you do, you shift the direction of your life. Your future doesn't arrive fully formed. It's built one choice at a time. The life you desire is not somewhere far away. It's on the other side of a single decision you've been avoiding. Maybe it's the decision to start. Maybe it's the decision to forgive. Maybe it's the decision to walk away from what no longer serves your peace. Whatever it is, that choice holds the key to your freedom. Because the miracle you're praying for is waiting for you to move. Every time you choose courage over comfort, every time you choose to believe again, you're writing the future you once thought was impossible. The power has never been in the miracle. It has always been in the choice. Every transformation begins not in the world around us, but in the quiet chambers of the mind and the courageous depths of the heart. Change begins with a decision to think differently, to rise again, to believe that your life is still capable of greatness. It only takes 5 seconds to shift your mindset, but those 5 seconds can rewrite the story of your entire life. Your mindset is the architect of your destiny. It builds the walls of your belief and opens the doors of your potential. The moment you change the way you see yourself, you change the way life responds to you. The world is not waiting to hand you success. It's waiting to see how you think, how you act, how you decide. Because your thinking determines your becoming. And remember this, extraordinary people are not born. They are made through extraordinary decisions. Ordinary men and women who dare to believe that one step of faith is worth more than a lifetime of fear. They take what little they have and turn it into something meaningful. They don't wait for perfect circumstances, they create them. They are proof that greatness is not a gift, it's a decision repeated daily. You will face storms. You will face betrayal, disappointment, and loss. But your power lies not in controlling the wind, but in mastering your response. You can't always control what happens to you, but you can always control what happens to you. Choose peace when chaos surrounds you. Choose faith when fear screams loud. Choose purpose when the world offers you comfort. Your future will never be built by waiting. It will be built by choosing. Don't wait for a miracle. Become one. Don't wait for the world to give you permission. Give yourself permission to move. Life changes the moment you decide to live it differently. Every miracle you've been hoping for is hidden inside a single choice waiting to be made. So right here, right now, decide. Decide to rise. Decide to believe. Decide to begin again. Because your future is not waiting for something outside of you. It's waiting for you. And in just 5 seconds, your mindset can shift, your heart can awaken, and your destiny can begin to unfold.